When you feel like you're like, I am so scared to ask this, I'm gonna throw up. You don't have to jump straight into it, but it's just a clue. And we're all looking for direction, and I think that's not the place where we want to look. But I've realized in my life, like, that is the place to look.
Hi, folks. You're listening to Was It Chance, the podcast about embracing opportunity and taking intentional risk for your creative life. I'm Heather Vickery.
And I'm live, Alan Seals. We're in the room with each other. Heather and I started off as two perfect strangers who met by chance and embraced opportunity. Listen in as we didn't embrace like
what
that.
What was the kiss? What was that?
Because embrace always a hug, we can kiss as friends. Like cheek, forehead.
Top of the head,
Top
maybe.
of the head. Maybe? Maybe?
No, you
Seriously?
can kiss the top of my head. It's okay. My little podcast husband. It's okay.
Okay. You can't look at me the whole time. We're getting video for this, so you got to at least face the camera.
Hi. I'm just looking at you while you do the intro. I'm going to look at our guests if you would ever tell anybody who they are.
Listen in as we chat with other successful people about the risks they've taken to put themselves on a path to creative success. I cannot wait to introduce these guests, so I will right now. They are Jasmine, Rafael, and Cassidy Hamilton. Jasmine, is your name? Is it Rafael or Rafi?
Rafael.
Like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle.
Exactly.
Good. Okay. So Jasmine has over a decade of experience working in the dance industry for the likes of Ariana Grande, JoJo Siwa, Tori Kelly, and more. And is now making her Broadway debut as Imogen in Juliet. Cassidy is a writer-producer who has spent her career developing new works, theater projects, working under some of the industry's most successful producers behind projects like Broadway's ROCKTOPIA and this Trans-Siberian Orchestra, and currently serves as an associate producer on AVALONA, an Immersive Musical. So together, they not only both are producing co-founders of Skylar Studios, they're also a queer couple working in the industry and have an upcoming show called Pretty, Witty, and Gay Cabaret, coming up this September 27th at Green Room 42 with a new cast of industry trailblazers from Broadway's biggest shows such as Juliet, Six, Moulin Rouge, K-pop, and more. They created this show to playfully challenge the heteronormativity of the American musical by providing a refreshing and exuberant new queer twist on your favorite Broadway hits.
You wrote the intro. I guess that's what happens when you get double the excitement to guests.
Yes, that was so impressive.
That was amazing.
Thank you.
So last night, we are live
Go ahead.
in New York City. No, last night he's writing this. We're sitting together in his office.
This is after we saw Back to the Future, so it's like 11:30 at night.
It was late at night, and he goes, heteronormativity. He was like, I'm going to have to practice that word. I was like, if you're going to be in this room, you're going to have to practice that word.
And she said, I'm the person who has to practice it. Exactly. Right.
Tro. I don't know.
You just you nailed it.
Is that what I'm called? I'm the tro?
No, I said true. Like
true. I thought you meant like hetero normativity.
Like new lingo.
Oh my God, you're hetero, like tro.
Yeah.
Oh, cute. I like it.
I'm
Kind
the
of
only
cute.
tro in the room.
Endearing.
Right?
Kind of sounds like a dig on you though, so I don't want to say that. Yeah. We love heteros.
Sometimes.
Thank you.
No.
You think you're like, is this a compliment?
On
It is a
occasion.
compliment.
Thank you. So yeah, I guess we'll start with the fact that you're a couple. Tell us how you met.
Oh, hey.
This is a
You didn't know you were going to get to tell your whole personal story here today, did you?
We actually really like this story. Do you want to tell? We always like tell our own versions.
Yeah, we met at Haswell Greens actually, and
Do you know? Have you been to Haswell's? Mm-hmm. Do you know what Haswell's is?
No.
It's like now it's different than it was, but when I first graduated from college, it was like the place for young music theater BFAs to come and hang out at night.
I love that.
So it feels like a silly place for us to have met. Not silly, but like.
yeah. Like of course.
Like
Was
of
it
course,
Chance?
classic.
Yes.
Sure.
Classic,
Was it Chance?
Yes.
Do you? Yeah.
It was a mutual friend's birthday party, and I was like there hanging with my ex-girlfriend because I'm a lesbian and I'm friends with my ex-girlfriend. and then I saw Cass and I was like telling my ex, I was like, that girl's so pretty. And then
You're saying this to your ex.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay,
we're
fair,
homies.
fair. Right.
Gay, you know.
Yeah.
And then I was.
It's a gay
thing we do.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're holding this mic so daintily.
It's like a cup of tea.
Pinky up, Heather.
I love it.
You gotta wrap your whole hand around. Go ahead.
That's
Go
not
ahead.
my forte.
Worries.
We've talked about this before.
Should I hold my mic?
If
Now
you
I'm
wanna-
feeling jealous.
No, don't.
Okay.
I'm having. Okay.
There we go.
If I get
Yeah.
nervous, I'll put it back on
Let's
the.
get this thing. They
on
gave us
the-
such a tiny table that we're making do. Okay. Go ahead, Jasmine.
Yes. And then I saw Cass, and then I was like, and then I looked at my friend Michael, who was there, and then I was like, is this girl gay? Is this girl gay? And then, yeah, they
It was
reported
like the
back
middle
to,
school playground.
yeah, they reported back to me that she was in fact queer, a gay. And then she was leaving, and then I told my ex-girlfriend Jenna, I was like, "Oh, she's leaving. It's all good. It's all good. No, it's all good. I'll see her again." And she's like, "Bro, like you need to go say hi, you're beautiful." And I was like, "No, I can't. Like I'm so afraid." And then she came like over to say bye to people close to us, and then my ex-girlfriend was like being the wingman and started just dancing awkwardly around her to like actually physically push her into me. It was like a movie, and I was like, stop, bro, like, and like it worked. And then Cass kind of like bumped into us and was like, "Oh, hey." I could not believe my eyes. I was like, not this working.
And then she looked at you and she said, "Well, you're pretty."
And I said, "What's up?" No, and then we got each other's numbers, and then I asked her out. Yeah.
So what's your version?
My
Yeah,
version
for
is
real.
that. So Haswell
Some
Greens.
weirdo just started dancing up on you?
No. So Haswell Greens has a live band that plays, and they do a lot of requests. And it was our friend's birthday, so it was a lot of like ABBA and Whitney and just gay stuff. And then out of nowhere,
I love young queers so much. You're so much more fun to hang out with than us old people.
we gotta go to Haswell's tonight.
Yes.
So, and then out of nowhere, like a country song starts playing, and I'm standing next to Jazz at this point, and I thought she was cute. So I lean over to them, and I'm like, "Hey, this got straight really fast, like because the music shifted to country music."
Yeah.
And she kind of laughed and like looked away, and then it was like, "Ha ha ha." And that was me trying to be like,
You were trying to
I'm
make
gay.
your
It's the
move.
pickup line.
Okay, well, it's not a pickup line.
It's not a
She's
pickup
told
line.
people
That's fair.
previously, like, she's like, I hit on her first. I was like, what? Like, anyone
okay.
could have. I feel like, especially straight girls nowadays, like, they could even. Sorry,
It's okay.
They could even be like, oh, this got straight real quick. Like, I feel like, I don't know. I was just
I
like,
think that it was
ah.
But
my-
I feel you.
Yeah,
Cass.
it was
I do.
my way of trying to be like, I'm gay. I don't know. I don't look gay.
Subtle.
Me
either.
I don't look
I
gay.
feel you.
And I'm trying to get over saying that because there's not a correct way to look
There's
gay. There really isn't.
Totally not.
But I know that if I'm in a social situation and I am, I saw this cute person and I wanted to let her know I was also gay and kind of thought she was cute. Yeah. That was what I came up with in the moment. Yeah. But anyway, so and then we
so
ended up
it's been
talking.
history.
And,
I love that.
Yep. What I do think is cool, and I guess relevant to this podcast, is that your ex, Jenna, works on a show. I don't know if she's still working on it, but she works on a show in Vegas that the show that I am an associate producer on is formatting our show off of and is hoping to do something really similar. So I knew what the show was. So I was saying, "Oh, are you a performer?" And Jenna was like, "Yeah, I'm doing a dance show in Vegas." And I was like, "I know the show you're working on." And so that's kind of what
made us all
kickstarted the conversation. I was like, "You're working on Awakening," and she was like, "How do you know what that is?" And I was like, "Oh, it's like I know what it is because I'm
Producing it.
I'm working on a show that we're trying to have do something very similar. So we've done a lot of research on that show. And then we started talking about theater and the arts and what we do, and and then we went to C6 on our first date. Yeah. So
Wait, was this pre or post pandemic?
Post.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Because I saw Six. I saw the final dress.
Oh.
The night before
amazing.
everything shut down. Sorry, not final dress. Final preview.
Oh, wow.
So I have a playbill, a Six playbill from opening night that never happened. Because it's got the date on
Oh, that's a cool thing to have.
it. Yeah. It was March 20th.
relic.
Yeah, it's March 20th.
From the
It's
before times.
From the before time. Yeah. It's,
The before
you
times.
watch Silo, don't you?
No,
Oh no.
I
Oh, because they
don't.
use the word relic from the before times. They
Oh,
use the okay, anyway. So anyway.
I have to tell you though, Cass, I feel you because I also don't look gay.
Sure.
And that isn't a thing. And we know that that's not a thing. But my daughters have always joked that when I write my memoir, I should call it Not Your Typical Lesbian.
Yes, I love it.
Yeah.
I'm like,
read it.
I'll get too much hate for that. I can't do that.
Wait, so in the country space, for the tros in the room, explain to me.
Yes.
He's going to try to make it a thing now.
It's a thing now. It's still a thing. For the tros in the room, is there not gay country? Does that not exist?
No, I'm sure. Yeah, there's got to be, but I just.
Of course, yeah, I'm sure.
There's
there
one
is, but-
TikTok trend. Have you guys heard it? It's just only for my kids would be like, Mom, nobody's on the old people TikTok that you're on. There's one.
There's old
I feel
talk
like I
and
need
young
to find
talk?
it. Yeah.
I
I'm
think
gonna
there's
find
just
it.
lots of different kinds of. I don't know. The TikTok
I mean,
I'm
it's
on is
literally a
weird
country
too, so.
song, but it's about gay sex. Like
Oh.
man on man gay sex. But I
I've
think it's a
seen-
parody, but it's pretty great.
Oh, I love it.
Nonetheless.
Right.
I'm sure there is gay country music, but
Not as
the way I
much.
think about country music is straight people. I don't know.
Sure.
That's cool. Okay, so the chance you were both at Haswell's.
Yep.
You both met.
Yep.
Some weirdo creep done dancing you and pushed you in,
Very nice lady,
in jazz.
actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's why
So
we're
are you
here.
friends with her ex now too? Is
No, just like social media friends. But
Okay,
she like
okay.
likes all our pictures.
She's
Yeah, we're
like, oh my
friends
god,
now.
I can't believe this happened. Like, she's so happy.
Yeah.
And then Pretty Witty and Gay Cabaret.
Sure.
What was like? You started dating. It was after 6, so it was post pandemic. So it was
Yep.
at least 2021 ish.
It was recently.
Yeah, recently.
We're gay.
It was like
No,
8
I'm
months
just
ago.
kidding.
And then
okay.
they moved in together.
We
2
are
days
moving in
later.
together.
Yeah.
Next month.
The adoption goes through tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah, LOL.
Egg retrieval happening.
Yeah, imminent.
So then, why start the cabaret? Where did that? And this is not the first incarnation of the cabaret either. So, why start it? And then we'll get to Green Room 42 next week.
Sure.
Yeah.
It was Pride Month. We were coming up on Pride Month, and I had wanted to do something like this for a really long time. And Jazz was like, "You should just email some spaces and see if they have."
Do it.
Yeah, just do it. So I reached out to a couple of venues, and a lot of places weren't responding. And Jazz was like, "Chelsea Table and Stage is cool. You should contact them." And I was like, "They're never going to respond back. Like, this is just a huge concept, and it's really last minute." And I emailed them, and they got back to me in like 6 hours. And we're like, "We have these days available if you want to do it." And it came together really quickly. And we had so much fun, and it's a joy getting to work together. And the goal was to hopefully make it a monthly thing.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, we would love for it to be like monthly or every other month. So we did a Pride Month one. It was a big success, and now we have one coming up next week. So, and then we're hoping for another one in maybe October. So,
Playfully challenge the heteronormativity of the American musical by providing a refreshing and exuberant new queer twist on your favorite Broadway hits.
Yep.
I want to dissect that.
yeah.
Yes.
Because give me an example of a song that you have now.
Yeah.
They sing. I don't know why I didn't think of this before. I know you sing. I know that you sing.
Yes.
My eyes are so wide right now.
Yes.
It just, we're coming over head colds. I will explain to you why I just got so excited later.
Anyway, okay. So
I know you sing.
So
Yeah.
what are the songs that you're starting at? And like, I guess you said you want to do it for a while. So first answer the question. Let's say like what song, but then I want to back up again and say like, why did you want to do this?
Sure.
Some of the songs that we had even in the first iteration was Notice Me Horton that our friend Andrew Purdy did. That's, typically sung by a character that is female. And we did Hopelessly Devoted to You, which our friend Michael Shimley did. I did Shik's a Goddess, so it's really every song that is like, oh yeah, of course this is a man singing to a woman singing to a man. But what happens when it's not, and it doesn't even matter most of the time. And even if it changes like details of this song, it's like kind of fun. And I think that a lot of it is, there's a lot of heteronormativity in any industry, but especially in the theater industry, that I think it's like, why couldn't there be sort of a
gay Gertrude McFuzz.
Yes, or a gay story in Hadestown. Like, why does it necessarily have to be that, queer people that are maybe a little bit more in their, in the middle of their masc and feminine energy? I feel like why wouldn't I be able to, understudy Francois in my show or something like that. I think especially, with voice parts that are more normalized in theater, like this person is a soprano and an alto and this person is a tenor, like how women or femme people are supposed to learn, like to expand their range to these higher places, like for what and why. And I think that's never been questioned. And I think that's something that feels limiting. Like when I was in the dance industry, I was a crumper. I was a freestyle crumper and a popper and whatever. And then I got to LA and then I stopped crumping because I was like, oh, well, I'm a girl. So I had to learn heels. And then so I had to like just learn heels for like, then of course I did lots of jobs in heels and I had to just learn ballet and jazz. But now, as I got into my more masculine sort of expression, I started crumping again and freestyling again and doing my own thing. And that is, and I'm on this job now as a freestyler. So anyway, that's just kind of a roundabout way to say, that's why I think that we're sort of doing it, to expand those opportunities.
To see what it could look like in theory. We'd love to see it in practice, right? So it would be really cool to, actually see a production of Seussical or a production of Grease or a production of, we joke about gay Grease all the time. I'm like, Grease
that would be amazing.
So
I'm there.
It's so campy anyways, just like go all the way. But there was a couple songs from the last 5 years, songs from Bridges of Madison County, again, shows that I just could see being queer so easily. So that's the concept. And now it's just, it's become a lot of different things. It's an opportunity for the queer community to kind of just sing whatever they want.
I love that.
So I'm really excited about the tunes we have for our next one. We're singing another duet, which will be fun. It's been a lot of fun, and I think that it's a joyful space and a safe space and just an opportunity to get together with our friends and our family. And
Sorry, baby.
No, go ahead.
Like how Vogue started. It's like a lot of Vogue. Vogue was a space for the gay community to come in and be models and do punking and whacking and posing, which were because they could not be models in the standard space of what models were. So a lot of Vogue is runway and like that sort of thing, a place where they could be what they thought they were inside, like what they could be, but there was no space for them to do that. And so it was like a beautiful and cathartic surprise when we would be like asking our friends, yo, do you want to do this thing? This is the concept. And they're like, yes, especially queer people. And they were like, oh my God, yeah, I have so many songs that I would want to do, but I never thought I could. So it's like giving them almost that same space that's reminiscent of that like, come in, do whatever you want.
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned for more of the episode. And now we're back.
Creating that safe space and turning things on their head a little. We're in this really weird space politically, country-wise, maybe in the entire world, where we are at once so much more integrated and advanced than we ever could have been. And also, I feel like we've gone back 1,000 steps. And so when we think about creating those spaces and saying, come here, like, let's try this. And when we want to think about manifestation, like, what are we manifesting when we create spaces like that? Like, I'll bet you've already seen it. What has shown up for you guys since you decided to create that space that you're like, I didn't even know that could come?
I think that when we talk about the project as a whole and when we talk about our little baby production company that we started and as it takes off.
It.
It's a lot of fun. We have a good time.
Skylar Studios.
It is named after my corgi.
Skylar.
That's awesome.
Was my family's first corgi. Aww. And I've always wanted, I always just wanted to have my own company named Skylar Studios. And Jazz was like, well, let's name it Skylar Studios. So that's that. I think that everyone craves this kind of creative opportunity. It just takes people organizing it.
Start it.
It just takes somebody organizing it and saying, hey, this is what time we're going to show up. This is where it's going to be. Invite your friends.
Yeah.
And
but that's
then
hard. It's actually hard to
I'll take
follow
that.
through
Thank
with
you.
That.
Yeah, we'll take that. We work really hard on it. And and people come out and come through. And I think that's what's the most beautiful thing about it.
Was it difficult to find people to fill the space, or like you were just asking your friends and they were lining up and saying yes?
Honestly, yeah. I would have a feeling when I would be next to my friend Ben Jackson Walker, he is the lead in our show, and Juliet, and I was just right next to him, and then I had a feeling, and I was like, I actually asked him before I asked Cass, and I was like, would you and Evan, their partner, want to be in Pretty Witty Gay? This is what it is. Oh my God, yeah. And it was just a light up moment, and I just felt like I was meant to ask them. And then I asked Cass after. Sorry, baby. I was like,
it's perfect.
Can I ask Ben and Evan? Like, I literally had already asked them. But yeah, it was almost like a really enthusiastic yes from the people that we thought of, and people were asking us to be a part of it. Wow. When they heard about it, a couple people in our show this time asked their friends, I want to be connected, with Pretty Witty Gay. And I think, as you were saying, what sort of manifests from creating this space is an intimacy, I think, is inherently within the idea of you're queer, do you want to do something that you never thought that you could do?
Yes.
There's a vulnerability in that and sort of a catharsis in that just happens in the space. And then the audience sort of felt it. My friend came from another show before our show at Chelsea Table at Stony Hall, and then came to ours and said, oh my gosh, it was like, I was so happy to be in your space because I just came from this big show, which was amazing. And then now it's like we're all in a living room singing around a campfire.
I want to go to there.
Yes.
Well, hopefully we'll have a lot more.
Okay.
Yeah. So come on in from Chicago, bring your kids.
I will do it.
You could tour it to Chicago.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Very cool.
That'd be amazing.
And there's
LA.
Incredible artists I'm from Baltimore originally, or outside Baltimore, and I think that there's a lot of cities that would
love to do this.
I do want to say something that's just on my mind with I think the concept of, and I'm if you're listening and you can't see me, I'm using air quotes, but the concept of gender bending is I think something that is done in cabarets a lot.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a beautiful concept, and I think this space that we've created acknowledges that it's more than just gender bending a song. It really is bringing a different level of queerness and queer understanding to our art form that we love so much.
Yeah,
like there's a lot of nuance
there's
there.
Like a reality to the song. Like it's like I'm singing Shiksa Goddess. I'm like, hey, Shiksa. Like I'm looking at like Goddess as a woman myself. Like you're a goddess. I love and admire you and hold space for you as a woman myself. Not just like, oh, a girl doing Shiksa Goddess, trendy. Not that that's what people are doing before, but it's a little more than gender bending. I want there to be a reality to it, and our performers really bring that honesty to the space. And people aren't like laughing before, like, oh, of course, like that's crazy. You're doing Hopelessly Devoted. Like they're like, oh my gosh, like this is really your truth. Yeah.
So I just wanted to speak
I'm
on
so
that
glad you did.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because it hits different.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
It's real. It's authentic. And this question that was rattling that I think I have the answer to now was like, do you have to identify with being queer to be able to really make this real and true? Like, could I come up and explore singing a love song to a man as someone who's identified as being straight my entire life?
Mm-hmm. We talk about this a lot, actually.
I would actually it would be fun to push myself outside comfort zones and see what that's like. But is that like?
Well, I mean, gender expression and expressing your sexuality isn't exclusive to queer people.
Right.
Or exploring your sexuality.
Right? It just isn't.
Shouldn't be.
And if we're talking, I mean, we could really go in here, but
that's what she said.
There you go.
Actually, it's not.
It's actually not. LOL. I can't.
Oh, Tro.
Hetero. Oh my God. Oh, Alan. Have you seen the Barbie movie yet?
Yes.
Alan.
best movie. I know. I have a post on my Instagram that there's only one Alan.
I love it. I love it.
One of the best movies I've ever seen.
It's
Hands
so
down.
good, but I love Alan. Like I love the concept of Alan. Like Alan's the ally. Alan's
right.
the you know. Anyways, that is to say, right now on the project, we're trying to prioritize creating space for queer performers and kind of having it be a celebration of queer folks on Broadway. However, it's not exclusive to the queer community. We have had ally performers, and I do know we want to have ally performers going forward as well. Yeah, we're building it as we go, so it's changing constantly.
And I think we gradually crawl towards the vision of what does queer really mean, you know? And I think that I don't know, not everyone agrees with this in a way, but I think that everyone is queer in a way.
Absolutely.
And I don't want to take that away from someone that is straight, their experiences in their life, or where they feel a little more queer. And I think the purpose, for me at least, and for us, like our vision is not separation from each other, but in fact seeing the sameness and what resonates in each person. It's not saying I'm special in this way and so you don't understand me. It's, yo, look inside. You actually do understand me. Let's move along. It's never about...
Let's sing about it.
It's not ever about queerness. It's not ever about sexuality. It's obviously that's what theater is. It's relating to a woman that's had an abortion. Yeah. If you're a straight man who has, you know what I mean? In a way, I think that is the goal at the end of the day. But
the art form is relating to each
macro.
other,
Correct.
right? Like that is what theater is. It is relating to your fellow artist on stage with you and relating to an audience that's observing. So you have to have the community there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It is a spectrum, though.
Sure.
I think for everybody, and you're definitely a little gay. I mean,
or a little queer.
a little queer.
Right?
I think is probably the right way to say that.
We've had this conversation about finish what you were saying. Yeah.
But I mean, anybody who's spent any amount of time with you can easily tell.
But is that because of the heteronormativity associated behind what it is to be a man or a woman, a straight man or woman?
Sure.
Yes.
I also
Because I love musical theater, so therefore I'm a little gay. By stereotype?
I mean,
well, you've spent more time with him, so tell us what you mean.
And I do think that plays a huge role in it. And you just said that your expression isn't related to your queerness per se, and we know that, and people push back on that a lot. I think of hairstyles when people say that.
Once you're a rock star, you can do anything you want. But
except he gets a lot of heat for queer baiting, which all he's trying to do is just be his damn self out there. And I get
Mick Jagger is way worse.
Worse.
Worse in terms of
But like worse, like using the term worse, like is it weird?
That's some heteronormative shit right there.
No,
No, you're right. It's more extreme.
Sure. Yeah, more intense, more intense.
But it's also how you feel on the inside. Like if you're like, no, I don't feel queer, I don't feel gay, I don't feel, then you are Alan. You know,
You are just
does it
you.
even matter? Like you said you have 2 kids.
Yeah.
Are you married? Do you have a spouse?
Yes, female. Yes.
Great, and you love your spouse,
Yes.
and you love your kids,
Yes.
and you love your job.
Yes.
And here
But
we
I
are.
also appreciate a good-looking man.
It wasn't until I was in my 30s that I thought, oh, maybe when I say that, it feels different inside than when this other girl over here says it, who just is, like, wow, I want to be pretty like that or whatever. I didn't know any lesbians. I knew like a couple gay men, and it wasn't until it occurred to me that, well, that's just the way women talk about one another, but that feels different to me. So that, I don't know where I'm going with
No.
that.
I think that's beautiful. I don't know. I only came out like a year and a half ago.
Oh, congratulations.
Thanks.
My
Came out
girlfriend would call
publicly.
you a baby gay.
A baby gay. I've been out. I now identify as a lesbian, but I came out as bi in college. And
I did that too.
Yeah, right. But I understand that a lot. The way that I just related to women and men growing up, and not really, I didn't have a lot of queer women in my world.
Yep.
And I grew up doing theater, so I had a lot of queer men in my world, and I just, you grow and you figure it out as it comes to you.
And I think we change as we grow old, like where we are on the spectrum shifts and moves. And I remember telling my kids, like, you may feel this way now and you may feel a different way later. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like it's beautiful. You know, whatever you feel is the right thing for you.
And I think also the separation of what is the function of me even having to make a decision about this right now.
Right.
Is it for me? Because then that's amazing. Is it for other people?
Yep.
That's not bad either. But I think sometimes labels are just easier for other people, I think. And so even in this, conversation, this faux conversation about asking about your queerness, Ellen, sorry to put you on the spot.
We're trying to make you come out.
What is the function of a conversation like that? Is it better to be like, yeah, I mean, I don't really... Yeah, I see what you're saying, but I don't really feel queer inside. That will help make someone else feel seen that feels the same way, that has those insecurities. Or are you saying, I don't have a problem with saying I might be a little queer. That also represents something for someone watching. So it's all the function, and I think also taking away the pressure of like, if I'm me myself, I'm exploring my own gender expression. I've just recently changed my pronouns, and that's like, who is that? Is that now because I did that in front of everyone, do I have to stay there? And it's no, this one is for myself. So I think just also defining that so that it doesn't get too confusing for you, just being like, okay, this is what.
And it can change.
And you
can change your mind a million times,
I love that. Well, so that was recent. Demi Lovato changed their pronouns and then changed them back.
Sure.
And a lot of the people that I follow were like, I just wish she can use both. Or they could use like whatever. Like you don't have to pick. And I will say, I've got a couple of Gen Alpha kids. I got a Gen Zer and a couple of Gen Alphas, and they don't want labels.
Yeah.
They're not interested. They don't want to pick. They don't want to say. They're going to do whatever. And I kind of love that because that's really the goal, isn't it? Like you never have to state anything. You never have to come out.
No.
You just get to show up. And that's what we're trying to manage. And that's when I think about your show. Like to me, we're manifesting that future by you creating it, by people showing up in that space, by wanting to perform in it, by wanting to envision themselves in these roles. It's just like, that's how we make things happen.
Sorry. No, go baby.
Cool. So we had like young queer people come see our performance, and I think it was really special just to have that space. And exactly that, like what you're saying about your kids, there's not a right or a wrong way to explore who you are and who you want to be, and you don't have to define yourself, and you can change a million times. And we are creating that actively, and I think that's really special.
Well, what was the chance? Bring it back to the podcast a second. What was the chance you took? Like you said, it came out a year and a half ago. Was it like you just knew, or
you went all in?
Sure, you went like,
I'm gonna go all in.
It's a long story. It was definitely a process. I think I started exploring the idea of my queerness again back in college, and I'm very lucky that I have super supportive parents. And I called my mom and I was like, I think I'm bi. I think I'm bi. And she was like, cool. And then shortly after that, I said to my dad, I was like, I think I'm bi. And then just over time, it was, I think I'm gayer than we thought. And then it was just like, and then here we are. And it has, there's been a lot of transition, and but it's the biggest risk I ever took. And I wouldn't change it for anything.
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned for more of the episode. And now we're back.
Yeah, what about you, Jess?
Yeah. I came out also later when I was 23, but I was not like harboring it at all. Me and my best friend, I was like, oh, wait, I'm in love with you. It was a little bit more of a, that was kind of a clearer sign, but it was a risk at the time, right? It seemed like a choice at the time, but I think as a queer person, I've talked about this with my very close queer friends. Once you choose that and you realize how alive it makes you and how much you almost feel like you could like spiritually die going back, it doesn't necessarily feel like a risk. It feels like more of a risk to not choose the things that make you alive. It feels like I have felt what it would be like to almost not choose this. And so to move forward, it almost feels like no choice. It feels like it would be braver, quote unquote, for me to not go towards the things that make me feel alive, because I would have to be like in this space where I'm just like brave all the time and I'm just withstanding things. When I move towards this space, I at least feel like the universe is sort of like with me, and I at least am with my truth, even if the circumstances around me, you know, my mom wasn't like overjoyed that I came out at first, and she knows that and she's great now, but those things are easier when you have a sense of truth within you. And so now whenever I'm you know, going towards something scary, like I just go, yeah, but I already chose that I'm gonna like dive into being queer, and it kept me alive. Yeah. So if I want to stay alive, you know, I left evangelical Christianity. You know, left the dance industry. I moved from you know, it's all of these things that seem big, but it's like, when it's clear, it's clear, y'all know. When it's clear, it's clear, and you're like, I have to keep staying alive. Otherwise the Jasmine that was 23 that came out when to be queer, like, she'd be like, yo, you just stopped doing this after 5 years, after 10 years. We did this not to be gay. We did this to stay alive. We did this to keep being alive and moving forward and being generative and being expansive. So yeah, I wouldn't call it a risk, I think.
I resonate with that so much. So I came out at 38 after 4 kids and a decade of marriage, and got a divorce. And I have often said, I have been known to say that it occurred to me that if I wanted my children to believe that they could do and have anything that they wanted, that I needed to show them how. And I stand by that. But recently, one of my daughters said to me, you did not get a divorce for us. Just admit it. And I said, you're right, I didn't. I did it for me. I did it for me because it was going to kill me. So when you say to stay alive, like I had to. And I said, but that had to be better for you. Yeah. It had to be.
Of course.
So I just really feel that, like that deep sense of this is a life or death choice. Like, am I going to live really or not?
Correct.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, thank you.
I was going to ask Jazz why or how you made the switch from dance into the Broadway world, because it's in talking to other people who have danced in the pop tour, the pop scene before, like to get into Broadway it's two different ecosystems. Yeah. So it's hard to make the switch, but you had just mentioned it as part of finding out who you are in terms of sexuality. And so I'm curious about that, if you don't mind sharing what it was about the dance world that was like, I should be straight outwardly when I'm in my dance world, but in the Broadway world, I can be who I am.
It's not, yes, definitely. That is totally a thing. I think that now there's just a lot more queerness in the dance world. It's just like so much different now. But I think it's more personal, associating my old self with like, you know, my hair long and down and curly, and all my headshots were literally like in a bikini and all of these things. Yeah, like in the dance world, it was more so like the really femme Jasmine. And I think just by chance, in the way that time has gone for me, you know, being in Juliet, and even my cast members have seen me change quite a bit in terms of my gender expression. So it's more of like a personal journey. But yeah, there's not. I think back then, even it's a time thing, like 2019, 2018 is when I just was like, I want to tell bigger stories. I don't want to just be a backup dancer. And maybe it had a lot to do with gender expression. Right now, the Kehlani tour, y'all know Kehlani, the artist. My friend Cass, they did the tour, and it's all, you know, just the gayest. It's the gayest tour ever. And if that was back there, maybe I would have stayed for a little bit. You know what I mean? But I was like, oh, I want to tell bigger stories, so I left the dance industry. But that was 2018, and you know, you would go to auditions sometimes, and it would be like Christina Aguilera, and then you would just see girls being like, oh yeah, like it's just take your shirt off, and you would just take it because you had a little bra under, and you would just be like taking your shirt off. All the men would just be like taking their shirt off. We would just be dancing a certain way, and there was no question about it. That's just like how it was. And so, yeah, maybe that was a little bit subconsciously in there. I wanted to tell bigger stories, so I just like stopped taking dance jobs and became a server. And I was dancing professionally for a while, and I love serving. I love that job. And then from there, I didn't like dance and then get a Broadway job. I danced, took a chance, and just like started serving, and then just went to acting school. And then I think that open energy, like, I don't know. Then they called me and Juliet. They need somebody to move to New York in 6 days.
Where were you, in LA? Mm-hmm. Wow.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing.
So we see you auditioned in LA for Anne Juliet?
I didn't even audition. I sent in tapes because I didn't even really have time, honestly. I sang Since You've Been Gone. And then 2 days later, they're like, can you move? Yeah, we know you would have to move in like a week. Is that cool? And I was like, yeah. I literally had given up going to New York. I was like, kept wanting to go to New York. It wasn't working. Then I said to my manager, yo, stop sending me stuff to New York. I decided I'm gonna just stay in LA. I'm gonna stay here. Like, it's all good. So I like gave up. You know what I mean? That happens when you give up
and then
the
that's
dream.
when you get it. Well, zero fucks given. Like, why not? Yeah.
Literally. And then they were like, but look at this. I wasn't going to send this to you. Like, just very typical story. And then I was like, okay, I'll send a tape, but whatever. And then like, I live here.
That's some beautiful manifestation juju right there, which is, yeah, sure. Yeah, why not?
Jasmine is a master manifester,
I can
in my
see
humble
that.
opinion. I think you would just say that you practice aligning yourself with what you want and the universe, and it is very intentional, but it's beautiful to behold as your partner. Like, it's cool to watch.
Thanks, babe.
Yeah.
Cass, what about you as far as career goes? What sort of intentional risk did you take, or what turns you thought were maybe the wrong turn turned out to be the right turn?
Sure.
What sort of got you here?
So I was an actor for a long time. I went to school I have my BFA. Pre-pandemic, was doing the whole audition thing. Like final callbacks for tons of Broadway shows and tours, and just like was waiting. It felt very much like one day it's just gonna happen. It's not when, it's not if, it's when, right?
Yeah.
That kind of sensation. And then the pandemic hit. Mm-hmm. And at the time I was in callbacks for like 3 shows, like, and yeah. And I will tell this story because it feels relevant to your theme. But there was a show, a very popular Broadway show. I was in 8 rounds of callbacks for it. Like, I just thought it was going to happen. I thought it was going to happen. And then my agents at the time called and were like, hey, they're going with somebody else. They really love you. They'll see you again for it. And if I had ended up getting that, I wouldn't have been able to go and spend Christmas with my grandfather, who it ended up being the last time I saw him before he passed away. And if I had gotten this job, I wouldn't have been able to be home for that. And then like 2 months later, the pandemic hit. So
wow.
Everything shut down. And during that time, everyone was having their, do I go to grad school moment? You know, everyone was like, I don't know what I want to do. And during that time, I started writing and kind of dreaming up a lot of these concepts for projects that had always kind of been in my mind, and then I had journaled about a lot, but had never taken any active steps towards, and called a lot of my friends and said, hey, I have this idea for this thing. What do you think? Does it sound cool? And people were like, that's amazing. And I'm very lucky that I have a really strong support system of people who said, that's cool, you should lean into that. And same with my family. So when I came back to New York, I was still actively auditioning. And this feels like a long story now, but it is my story, and I'm really proud of it. And I feel like I do talk about it a lot. Yeah. Came back to New York, started auditioning again. All of the shows that I have done have all been new works projects, which is my heart is really in developing new theater, and I feel very lucky to have worked on some really, really cool developmental theater projects. And that's always been where my heart is. So I was still auditioning for a lot of developmental theater. I got to a point where I wasn't publicly out yet. My mental health was really poor, and I said, I am quitting theater. I'm going to stop auditioning, and I'm going to prioritize my mental health.
This is what year?
This is last year.
Last
a year
year,
ago.
wow.
A year ago. I guess a year and change now. Like last
Spring.
Yeah. So I guess April 2022.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. And I'm like, what year is it?
Carry the one.
Yeah, and I quit auditioning. My agents dropped me, and I just I said, okay, I got into therapy. I got the mental health I needed. I started medication, and my life changed. And I knew that I wanted to start tapping into my other creative pursuits, because I am a big fat theater nerd. Like, I love theater. I love being a part of it in any way that I can. And I think learning that lesson was so valuable. I love performing, and I love performing in Pretty Witty. But I don't feel as if I have to be an actor as my career to feel joy and to feel connected to the industry that I love. So, there was a day last, I guess it was October 2022, August 2022, and I was at my retail job, and I just had enough, and I sat on the bathroom floor of my retail job, and I said, universe, I am ready for whatever it is. I don't know what it is, but I'm ready for it. And I literally sat on the bathroom floor crying, arms open, and I got up off the bathroom floor. I went upstairs, and I ran into Dina, who is now my boss. And she had a baseball cap on that said AVALONA. And I said, what's AVALONA? She said, oh, I'm a recording artist and a producer, and it's the new musical I'm working on. And I was like, can we get coffee? I want to hear about it. And then a week later, we were getting... we had Aperol spritzes, and she told me about her project. And
it's the second mention of Aperol spritzes.
We need to have those this weekend. That needs to happen.
So good.
Yeah.
And she told me about the project. I told her about what I'm passionate about, what I love. And she comes from the music industry more so than a more traditional Broadway background. And she said, I want you to do this with me. So I helped cast it. I was her associate producer. We're still working on it now. I'm helping her cast another project on Monday. And that's that.
I love that. Yeah.
So
I mean, that moment of, it's similar, right? Like, I'm going to choose to be alive, and
I'm going to choose to be alive.
I'm going to choose to be alive. Like,
Same.
okay, just show me what it is. I'm paying attention.
Yeah.
You don't have to know. I always say that surrender is the work of my life.
Yeah.
I can see something coming, and I can let go of how I'm going to get there and just be ready.
Right.
Yeah. And just let it happen and be open to the twists and turns. And so
That's
and then I
beautiful.
started my own production company with Jasmine, and we do those things.
What other stuff are you working on?
In Skylar Studios.
Skylar Studios.
Skylar.
So
Skylar Studios.
Is the
Yeah.
dog in your logo?
yeah, it's not that. It is a corgi in the logo.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Thanks for
you're
letting me do
right.
that. I was like, can we just make the corgi, and like our Instagram has my sister's corgi featured on it, and just a whimsical little,
really fun.
silly, fun thing.
You and the late queen.
Yeah. Gosh.
May she rest in peace.
Literally.
I did see a corgi on the way here, and corgis are good luck.
Oh, hey.
Past manifest corgis like I've never seen before.
I said to my mom this morning, I said, I'm going to see a corgi today. And I left my apartment and there was one.
Every
But
time.
It's my superpower.
After our first,
We
on
saw
our
a corgi on our first date.
That's how I knew it was a date. Because at first I thought she wanted to be my homie. And then I was like, I don't know if this girl just wanted to be my friend. And then, like, I couldn't tell. Then you saw a corgi, and then you took a picture. You're like, oh, I love corgis. Look what I sent my family in our group chat. It's called Corgi Family. And she shows me her phone, and it's a selfie of her saying, I'm about to go on a date tonight.
Like texting my family.
And then I looked, and I was like,
I was like, oh, ha ha ha. And then I like sent the picture of the corgi that we had just
Might
seen
not
to
have
my
been
family.
an accident then, Cass?
It totally was, but I'm glad that it like cued you in.
yeah, because I had no idea.
Once again, I'm just like, how do I let her know that I like her?
We could always try just saying. I don't
Right,
know.
it's true. Sure. Who knows? But yeah, so I think our goal right now is we're obviously producing this cabaret. We have some other projects coming up.
Another cabaret that you're
Another
really leading.
project that I'm working on with the Trans Dance Project, which is an exciting organization. Everybody should look it up. We're working on sort of a collaborative project in the works. Don't have the details yet. It'll be in September. Will be another sort of cabaret show. And then ultimately, I think we'd like to build enough momentum to start producing plays and more developmental works and
that are Cass's idea or ours.
Or yeah. And just
brainchildren.
And I think we would also love to get hooked up with other queer writers and producers and create work together.
All right, one more quick break. Hang on a second. All right, here's the rest of the episode.
I love Broadway. I also want to see so many different things from the Broadway industry. And I think that we're taking the entertainment industry in general, and I think we're just taking the steps to create that world we want to see. So
yeah, whether it be music, I mean, we were even talking about doing a music video, anything that's sort of, that we can span across. I have a lot of experience in the dance industry in terms of creating content. Dancers are nutty. They're so talented, and I know the best cinematographers I think I've ever seen, even here. So, we want to do a lot of different mediums.
They're a power couple,
right?
When I got together with my partner, she was like, I want us to become a power lesbian couple like my mentors. I don't know if we're there, but you two are.
I mean, you're running this podcast, so that's cool.
I know. I mean, I do. She's a badass. We are kind of a
I love it. I'm sure you are. You seem like it.
I need to meet her. I still haven't met her.
I know. Well, come to Chicago.
Okay. I will.
Amazing.
Alan.
One of our past guests is performing Maria in Chicago on October 22nd. You should come, and she offered us tickets. We can
October 22nd. Okay, that's after my birthday, right after my birthday.
Wow.
Libra.
Libra, I'm a Libra too. October 10th.
I love what you guys are doing, and I hope that you will tour it. I was like, I'll help you in Chicago. Let me know. I was an event planner for 18 years.
I was going to say you need to tour it,
Wow.
and there needs to be a podcast about it.
I got a podcast producer I can introduce you to.
Your brain, the wheels in your
He's like, we're going to make so much money, baby.
Not about money.
I know. It's about the stories. And they would be amazing
money sometimes.
stories.
It can also
be
about
both
money.
things.
Stories don't pay rent. I get that. But do it because you love it. What is your relationship with failure?
Ooh.
Yeah, both of you.
I think I've talked to you about this. I would do this practice sometimes after I watched this TED Talks called The Practice of Rejection or The Art of Rejection or something. And it's like going towards something that you know you will be rejected in full on. You for sure know this is going to happen. So it's almost like, you look at someone for longer than it would be comfortable, like a stranger, and being like, yeah, thanks. Can I hold the door for you? Someone that, would be like, just look away and be like, to sort of expose yourself to like, it's okay. Like if someone rejects me, I'm not gonna die. So I think with failure, I have that same sort of thing. It's like, if I am really, really afraid to fail at something, I kind of know now that it's a clue to run towards that.
Yeah.
And it's not even like a noble thing. Like I literally have seen it produce the most fruit in my life. I used to be scared of looking at people in the eye from stage because a lot of times people are uncomfortable and would look down. And as a human, when you're looking at someone in the eye and they look down, especially if you have like trauma, which I think we probably all do. And if they look away, you feel unwanted, you feel rejected, you feel like you've made a mistake. I feel so dumb. I've done this practice of looking at people and holding a gaze with them in the audience. And for me, that feels pretty brave on a physiological level, and it's like, yeah, many people look away or kind of be like that, twitch away. But a lot of people will hold my gaze, and that is more rewarding than anything. And that has actually improved my character, I think, a lot.
Wow.
And made me like a vulnerable and confident person. And so I feel the same way about failure. It's the same concept of like, I've done like the cold shower challenges and all of these things. It's about expanding the, what do they call it? Yeah, the time that you can sort of withstand discomfort. I think that's the secret to your life. And it's not only mental and emotional. It's really on a physical level. When you feel like you're like, I am so scared to ask this, I'm gonna throw up. You don't have to jump straight into it, but it's just a clue. And we're all looking for direction, and I think that's not the place where we want to look. But I've realized in my life, like, that is the place to look, I think. But yeah, it's a clue for me.
I love that.
I love that too. We were just talking about we were at dinner the other night, and you looked at me and said, "What's your biggest fear?" Oh, yeah. And I said, "I'm not afraid of failure. I'm afraid of never living up to my fullest potential." And I think that difference is important. I think your relationship with failure and how you view failure is really helpful. I think when you try something or when you put yourself out there, of course, there's vulnerability and fear. I try to put them in the back seat. We say that a lot. We're like, I'm putting my anxiety's here. I'm just gonna. It's not driving the car.
Yeah.
It can't even pick the playlist. Like, it's just gonna. You're a passenger in the back, please. But I think you can fail a million. That's so stereotypical, but it's true. It's like
true.
When you fail at something, first of all, try something that let your heart tell you what you should be pursuing. Odds are if you're really listening to where the universe is pushing you, you're probably not going to fail that hard. And when you do, it's going to teach you for the next thing and the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And of course, that is stereotypical, but I really think it's true.
Can either of you identify your biggest quote unquote failure that turned out to be the best thing?
Yeah, there's like, I think leaving the dance industry obviously feels like a huge failure. Like, especially, I had a whole community and family that was like, this is what you're meant to do. And I never like told anyone straight up, but of course it feels like a failure. I had been training for hours in front of a mirror for so long. And I think also failure can be like, it turned out to be, obviously I'm here now. And I think also something that seems like a failure is a failed relationship.
Sure.
You know, you're just like, this is good. There's a point in the relationship when you're really trying to make it work that it just starts to feel like something you're trying to achieve. And when it doesn't, for me, that was my biggest sense of like, I failed and I tried so hard. And now it's, you know what I mean? And now I'm just with this beautiful angel.
Thanks.
Cass, I'm going to go back to something you said a second ago. Is it you fear of not living up to your fullest potential? But to quote Andre DeShields'
Really?
Also
Easy
from
for you to
Baltimore.
say.
Andre DeShields' Tony speech, the top of one mountain is the bottom of the next. So once you get to your potential, how do you know you're there when you can keep going?
You're never there.
Exactly. I think I'm connecting this sort of to the question of an example of when you failed. I just lost my train of thought. Not ADHD. Let me.
We all have it. It's okay.
I think a lot of people like you were saying before. Now I remember where I am. I've blacked in. I've blacked back in.
What is that?
The idea when folks say, "Oh, you were meant to do this. You were meant to do this." I think we have a lot of choice in what we're meant to do.
Yeah.
And I think that also helps you let go of failure. And I think that it also helps you see the peaks and valleys in your life and see where your hike is going to take you next. Exactly that. I went to school. I went to a top 5 BFA program for theater, and the idea of stopping auditioning broke my heart, broke my mother's heart, still breaks my mother's heart. She's going to listen to this. Love you, Mom. She supports the hell out of me. But she will often say, like, I just want to see you on the stage. I just want to see you on the stage. And I'm like, I know where that comes from. And it comes from this idea of, I've worked so hard for this dream. And I'm like, but the dream changes. And if you think of a failed relationship, a failed initial career choice, a failed, what's the point of it all then? You know? I don't know if that answers the question.
No, and I think when you were telling me about the potential thing, you said, I'm not more afraid of failure than I am of ending up complacent.
Yes.
at some point. So I think that was your not reaching potential. It wasn't necessarily, I'm totally putting this in your words,
please
but like it's not
interpret.
necessarily like external circumstances, but you were afraid of stopping
Momentum.
chasing the fire one day. And I think for you, that's what you were telling me defines your, I guess, potential in the world is continuing to chase, actually. Like getting comfortable with the journey. I don't think potential is necessarily a destination for either of us.
Yes.
Of course, we're still human. Like, gosh, we're gonna in 1 week be like, oh my gosh, that thing last week was not what we thought. I feel, I'll feel like a failure again, and I'll feel like my ego is completely wrong. I'll be like, I was completely wrong about things. So of course we're humans, but I think we like to try to remind each other that there is no destination. That is like a complete illusion, and it's just about feeling like you're on the journey that challenges you for real, and only you know what challenges you for real.
That's a great place to end.
I was just thinking the same thing. I'm like, and mic drop.
scene.
I love it.
This was fun. Y'all
Love
are
it.
fun.
Y'all
Thanks,
are
y'all are
fun.
fun.
I
No,
can't
y'all
wait for
are
you to
fun.
tour.
No, you're
And
fun.
y'all
You're
fun.
bring it to Chicago.
Yeah, that'd
Those
be
are
fun.
awesome
See
ideas.
if a girl can
that makes
help.
me feel, it makes
A
me feel like there's
tour.
Oh, maybe we could get you connected with the About Face Theater. So it's our local Chicago queer theater company.
crazy. babe.
We were just talking about Chicago yesterday.
Oh,
Yeah.
see?
My friend
Was it
Tori
chance?
Kelly is going to Chicago to do her tour. So we were like, oh,
Do we go to Chicago to see Tori?
Hey, cool.
Yeah,
Do
let me
it.
know. We'll see if we can make something happen. How can folks find you, come see the show, follow all the cool things you're doing individually, collectively?
Instagram, Pretty Witty Gay Cabaret. We're on there. I'm Jasmine J. Raphael.
I'm Cass W. Hamilton.
Yeah, that's kind of what we got going on
Yep.
right now.
A TikTok could be in the works.
Oh, yeah.
A
Definitely
website,
a
perhaps.
website. Yeah, we're in our humble beginnings.
Yeah,
but
yeah. Skylar Studios Productions at gmail.com.
maybe.
If you've got some ideas or some money,
hit us
maybe.
up. Yeah,
That's where
for
we
sure.
are for now. But definitely, you'll see it all expand from Instagram.
All right.
Love
We're going
it.
to keep an eye on it. Thank you both so much for being here
Thank
with
you
us.
so much. What a
you.
fun conversation.
Fun little morning.
Yeah.
Jazz and Cass. Cass and Jazz. These two are,
I know.
oh my goodness. In a rare twist of fate, we are recording this outro not immediately after we interviewed them, because obviously we interviewed them live and then we had to leave our recording space.
And not even together. We were together for 4 days, and we were so jam-packed
Oh, yeah.
and busy
And they were
that
back
we are
in our-
now back in our
the
respective homes, offices.
But what I was going to say was that it's been several days since we met with them, and they're still in my minds.
Oh my gosh, me too.
Because like just the amount of like, well, we're just gonna do this because we feel like we want, like, I was gonna say want to, but then I was gonna say have to, but then I was gonna go back to want to. Like, I had this little argument in my head in the last 3 milliseconds. Okay, I think they have to. Together, they have come together, and they have to just create. And
Oh, yeah.
it's one of
It's
those
magic.
things that, I mean, the two of them are, if they can continue to channel this like they are, I am so excited. Sorry, when they continue to channel this,
Yeah,
I will
for sure.
put that out there.
Yeah, for sure.
That they're gonna do such great things. I absolutely adored meeting them and talking with them.
Me too. We did something pretty rare. Now, maybe circumstances don't normally allow it, but when we finished recording, we sat and talked to them for another, 40 minutes. And I kind of think the four of us were pulled apart. We were like, oh, but we really have to go do these other things now. And
Yeah.
we just spent hours and hours and hours together. They're just like little, like lightning bolts of energy and excitement and joy and possibility. And like, it felt electric.
We caught them at a really interesting time in their self-discovery and personal lives, because I think both of them are finally now settled into being their true and authentic selves.
Yeah.
And finally in life, like, the people that are close to them know all their secrets that they've been keeping for whatever reasons, and things are just like falling into place. And then they found each other, two people who have been going through similar things, and then they found each other, and they're like, well, let's just amplify this message, this feeling that we each have internally. And I think without consciously realizing it, that's probably what ended up drawing them together in the first place.
The story was so cute. I love that. You know, I do a lot of work with clients. We were talking about this separately as well as, you know, people can't know what we want from them if we don't tell them. But we live in this world where, exactly, right? But we live in this world where we think people are just supposed to figure us out. Mm-hmm. And I was cracking up. Cass was like, well, I just keep trying in so many ways to tell her I'm into her. And I don't know, it's not working. We're like, you could be like, I'm into you. You know?
You could just say, hey, I think you're pretty cute.
You're pretty cute and I'd like to take you on a date. But we see that everywhere, you know, like, oh, I'm so frustrated. My spouse never gives me flowers for my birthday. Well, have you ever told your spouse that you really want?
Have you ever told your spouse you have a birthday? Maybe they don't even know. No, I see your point.
And I think I think it's really cute. But these folks, these inspiring, talented, beautiful, and you're young, right? Jazz and Cass, you're young, and that's, for me, that gives me so much joy, because seeing people in their early 20s doing what they're doing, I just think the kids are all right, man. Like, we're gonna be okay, and it's gonna be a ride, but y'all have got it. And just seeing them go for it.
Yeah.
The way that they do.
You were talking about that too. That you know, having people in there anywhere in their 20s, early, mid, or late, or whatnot, right? Like, these are the people who have now grown up and become actual adults with the internet in their pocket, and reap the benefits of that, being that you can connect with anybody, you can find your like-minded people, you can find your group, find your tribe, whatever phrase you want to use. That now, instead of feeling lonely, I mean, you can go one of two paths, right? And you got to be careful with this, with the internet as vast as it is. You can either use it to feel more lonely and isolated, or more connected, regardless of where you are in the world. And, you know, I think these two specifically are just like, all right, here we are. We made it to the city that we want to be in, doing the thing that we thought we wanted to do at the time, that's turned into this other great thing that I'm now like embracing the opportunity to get us to where we wanted to where we didn't know we wanted to be. And then they found each other in that space, and just have been like stair-stepping, using each other to like in a positive way to get to the next step. And it's just so, I'm looking at the two of them, the picture of Green Room 42 on my other screen. So I'm like, oh, they're just smiling at each other and being happy.
They're so cute. They're so cute. I can't stand how cute.
Yeah. Anyway, well, yes. So if you're listening to this in time before August 27th, 2023, they are gonna have their cabaret, Pretty Witty and Gay, at Green Room 42. So go to Green Room 42 for it's thegreenroom42.com for tickets. If you go see the show, let us know. Hit us up in the DMs. Yes. Tag us in your comments and your stories, because hot damn, man, like
yeah, let us know. We want to hear. We want to see the clips. Say hi to Jazz and Cass. Tell them that Heather and Alan from Was It Chance are super fans. Can't wait to hang out with them again. They promised to take me to some lesbian bars in New York.
I will.
I'm not sure that they let the old lesbians in, but I'll go.
That's they need to balance it out. Like, that's their. They get too many youngins, and they need the old people in there to.
I won't know what to do with myself, but I will go, because they are fun and I want to hang out. Can you come? I don't know if they let. Do they let the straight best friend?
If it's one guy being brought by three women, I would assume, but don't assume anything. Who knows?
Because it's got to be 3 lesbians and an Alan.
3 lesbians and an Alan. And there's only one Alan. So speaking of sharing your stories and tagging us, how can they connect with us?
Y'all, we're super easy to find. We are Was It Chance on Instagram and on Threads. And you can find us on the internet at wasitchance.com. And you can email us at wasitchancepodcast@gmail.com. And we really read those things. We really respond. We want to hear what you're up to. Oh, and we're on YouTube.
YouTubes.
We're on YouTube. We're trying to get, we're trying to really boost the YouTube. We're doing video now. This one was a little weird because we recorded live and in person. But come hang out with us in all the places. And listen, tell your friends, write us a review because it helps other people find us. And we would love to hear your own stories, what you're out doing, how you're embracing intentional risk and making it happen. So thank you guys for hanging out with us. As always, we love it. We have a good time and we're glad to have you with us. Y'all, you've been listening to Was It Chance, the podcast about embracing opportunity and taking intentional risk for your creative life. I'm Heather Vickery.
And I'm Alan Seals.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
For your creative life.